Good afternoon, everyone. We having fun yet? Isn't this an upgrade? I mean, last year we were sitting in the gymnasium, and here we are in the Schaefer Center for the Performing Arts. And how about these screens? Pretty amazing. I had lunch today with our speakers, the main speakers you're going to be hearing from, and all I want to tell you is stay in your seats. It is really going to be fantastic. The energy world has beaten a path to Boone, North Carolina's door, and we're really proud to be presenting this group of messages, this group of individuals to you. But my favorite part about the Energy Summit is watching everyone get here and watching these relationships get renewed. In the first year of the Energy Summit, people didn't know each other. These were groups that didn't really get together. And now here we are after 5 years, and to watch you guys come together and to embrace each other, to shake hands and kiss each other on the cheek, it is really gratifying to me. And to me, it's like the very best part of the summit is creating this network of individuals that work together. So I have a question. Who's downloaded the mobile app? Raise your hand. Okay. If you're sitting next to someone who hasn't, show them how. If you have the mobile app, you will have everything you need to know. We're going to send you messages, and we're going to give away an award at the end of the summit that is based on your interaction through the app. We want you to vote for somebody that's doing great work. So if you haven't downloaded the app, please do so. We've taken a lot of care to really make that the tool that you can use to navigate the Appalachian Energy Summit. So my name is Ged Moody. I'm Special Assistant to the Chancellor for Sustainability at Appalachian State University. That is 17 syllables, folks. And my business card, I pull around in a wagon. But the title of my presentation today is Why We Are Here. And the word I want to come back to a couple times in my presentation today is the word why. So the first chapter in 5 chapters of my presentation for you today, the first chapter is New and Improved. Are we? And the idea is, and you've heard this from a lot of people, it was one of the first things I said, but the summit is obviously getting bigger and better. And there's 2 stats that I want to refer to on this sheet that I think are, to me, most important. The first one is that 60% of our 500 registrants are from the UNC system. When we started, that number was essentially 100%. So we are growing. We are bringing in new voices. We have 50 colleges, as I think you've been told. The other number that I want to point out is, what does it cost to come to this conference? 0. And when I tell people all that we do and the food we serve and the party that we have and the speakers we have, and you can stay in the dorm for free, a friend of mine from South Carolina this week goes, that just doesn't happen. And the reason we do that is we know that in public education, if we didn't provide this opportunity, there are a great number of you who would not be here. So we take great pride, and when you see someone who's a sponsor of the Energy Summit, thank them. I mean, honestly, we cannot do it without sponsorships. There's this phrase we use that no state dollars were harmed in the making of this conference. So bigger and better, right? The question is, how are we going to get bigger and better? How is the work that we're going to do going to get more and more meaningful? Because if you've been at this for 4 years, you've eaten all the low-hanging fruit. Mike O'Connor told you we've saved $400 million since we began this. And you go back to 2002, the number's a lot bigger. Lynn Hoyle will tell you about that tomorrow. But this slide is about encouraging you to climb and to climb higher, because it's not going to get easier, it's going to get harder. You're going to have to be more creative. You're going to have to employ more technologies, and you're going to have to work together. So that's why this event, I think, is so critical that you listen closely. And, I say this every year, but one of my favorite words is to be generous. And generous isn't about giving someone a dollar. Generous is about being generous with your spirit. It's about listening, and it's about giving, and it's about being present in those moments. If you're at a cocktail party tonight and you're standing there with the people you rode in the car with, move around. Go meet more people. So I urge you to climb and to climb high. And while I know we can do it, it is going to be more difficult. Chapter 2, we're getting to the why. You might know this one. This is sign language for why. So this may be something you'll use as you're here. But when we sat down and talked about the Energy Summit this year, particularly the biologists, you met Sue, and there are others, and people who all of their work, all of their life is about care for the environment. And we were talking about energy, we were talking about gizmos, we were talking about dollars, and they were coming back to us going, but what about the environment? And what really hit me was we're not getting to the why we're here. I mean, think about when you were an infant, or who knows, a 2-year-old. What do they keep telling you over and over? But why? But why? And it seems like such a simple question, and you might even get annoyed by it. But sometimes children are absolutely brilliant. And when they're asking why, they may be asking the most important question. For 4 years at this summit, or all through school, we're told what we should know or how we should go about doing it. But when you know why, and you believe in why, and you touch something in yourself, that's when it all really starts to click. So 2016 is what we're referring to as the Why Summit. And you'll see it in our programming, you'll see it in our speakers, but we really want to help you connect with why this is important to you. And when you do that, you find your passion, that's when we think you're going to be much more successful. We want to tap into the dream. What is it you dream about? What do you care about? You can look at this slide, and it could be that you are worried about forest deforestation and land and clean water. You could be worried about clean air and pollution. You could be worried about poverty. We have some extreme issues of poverty in our nation and income inequality. I mean, these are giant issues that will catch up with our society. You've heard me say before, childhood hunger. Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and High Point, the county that they're in has the highest rate of food insecurity for children 5 years old and younger. I've said that before, but it blows me away. And one of my favorite moments of the Appalachian Energy Summit were when the students from UNC Greensboro met the students from North Carolina A&T, and one group of students knew about that childhood hunger, and one group of students didn't know about it. And when they met each other and heard this, the way they embraced each other and almost cried was like something I'll never forget. But you could have on your mind what's going on in our political system, and it gets crazier by the day, it seems, or climate change. But the point is, this is the despair. And it's real easy to get caught up in the despair. The things you care about, the things that you think you need to work on or that we need to work on. And it's absolutely critical that we get to here, that we get to the solution. Do not, please, try not to get stuck here. It's not a fun place to be. And it's a place where you can feel sorry for yourself and you can feel like the world is against you. But this is where I want you to be if you can. And this is about why. And everybody's going to have that thing. There's a whole group here. We got a new group here this year around zero waste. They are passionate about trash and waste and resources and keeping things out of the landfill. Just as passionate as many of you are about solar, and there are so many more of you that are passionate about local food. I'm a vendor at our farmers market, and it's amazing to see the passion that those people have for local food. So find your passion is really what we're getting at, and it's about the why. So now I want to talk about our speakers. I was at an energy conference in the state of North Carolina just a few months ago, and I was listening to the keynote panel, and they were talking about, I think, sustainable transportation. And the question was asked by someone in the audience. They had an open question and answer. The question was asked, well, how does this fit within climate change? It was a good question. It was asked well. It was very respectful. And they said, we don't talk about climate change. It's too political of an issue. So I'm in the audience, and I couldn't believe it, but I'm thinking, you know what? We've got Bill McKibben coming to town in 3 months. And so I was thinking about, and when we told people that Bill McKibben was coming, they're like, wow, he's kind of radical. And the point is we don't have a single agenda that we're trying to bring across at this energy summit. But you cannot have a discussion about energy if you're not dealing with the whole picture. And so when we thought about the speakers that we wanted to bring in, we said, how do we have a full discussion? How do we give as much information as we can give? And then it's up to you, the audience, to filter it. Make it work in your reality. So again, we are starting with Mr. Bill McKibben. I met him this afternoon. You're just going to be fascinated by him. But he is deeply aware, deeply concerned about environmental issues and climate change. And you're going to hear a lot more about that tonight. And again, it's part of the story. Amory Lovins is back. Amory Lovins has been here for every Appalachian Energy Summit, which is something that amazes me. But you can't have an energy discussion without talking about the technical solutions. And Amory is a master and has been so for 40 years. And he's an optimist. That's one of the things I love about Amory. So you can't have the discussion without the technology. Now, what binds us together? We're all in higher education. And I heard someone today at lunch refer to David Orr as the dean of sustainability in higher education. He truly is. He is a poet, in my words, and he'll be presiding over the academic integration, and he'll be addressing our audience on Wednesday morning. But you can't think about energy in our context without understanding the importance of higher education and how it fits into learning. Mr. Carl Robigo will be with us tomorrow. He's a new addition to the summit, and Mr. Robigo is on the leading edge of helping utilities deal with a transformation, an absolutely tumult in the utility industry. And he has a lot of brilliant ideas, and he's trying to help utilities. But you'll also hear that if they don't get on board, there are ways that they'll get left behind. So fascinating discussion that we'll hear from Mr. Robigo. And then lastly, on Wednesday, we'll hear from Mr. Earl Gohl. And Earl Gohl is the federal leader of the Appalachian Regional Commission. And what Mr. Gohl is going to be able to do is talk about the policy side of this. What's going on with policy? And he can speak to it from a federal perspective. And so while he might preside over the Appalachia region, he has a mastery of a broader region. So we believe we've brought you a full spectrum of conversation. Chapter 4, not the same old song. It was interesting to hear Will Johnson earlier kind of end with the quote from a song and talking about the word song. But what this chapter is about is in the Office of Sustainability on our campus, the library has been getting rid of tens of thousands of old books. And they were going to go straight into the landfill or the dump. I don't remember exactly, but you could ask Lee Ball. So basically, we rescued all of these books from the library, and they're in the Office of Sustainability. And they're a penny a piece. And we started going through these books, and we found amazing stories from 75 years ago that sustainability has been talked about for decades and decades. And you think back, there was books from the 30s and the 40s talking about almost the exact same issues. And so if you go back in time and you look, so this is a picture of Pittsburgh in the 1940s. Tremendous air pollution. And it made me wonder, have we always had sustainability issues? Because, sometimes we get myopic, and I was thinking, well, that sustainability was the issue of my generation or the issue of your generation. But is it part of the human condition to always imagine that there are these things that we need to work on? Will we always have sustainability issues? Must we always have sustainabilities? Again, is this part of the human condition? And, you'll see the picture there of the Talking Head song, Same as It Ever Was. I mean, when I was reading these books, I was amazed. It was like going back in time. But the question I pondered is, so we've always had sustainability issues, but are the issues of today more urgent than the issues of 75 years ago? I see some heads nodding here. And today, hearing from our speakers at a luncheon, my sense was, yes, they are more urgent. And today I got that confirmed by people that are out and out experts. The scale at which our technologies work, the cumulative effects of some of the things that we've been doing, the sheer number of people on our planet. I would argue, friends, that the issues of our time are indeed more urgent. So there was this one book that just jumped into my hands, and it was called There Must Be a New Song. This book was written 75 years ago. And when I read this quote, I'm like, I swear I've heard David Orr say this in the last month. I mean, if you read this quote, it has the echo of something you could have heard literally in the last month if you follow sustainability literature. Yet we go right on in a worldwide competition of destructive cruelties as if our one great intention were to bring human society to an end by destroying its source. And that's despair. Remember we talked earlier about despair. We have to move from that despair. So, the next thing I pulled out of that book is the power of one. And what to take away from this quote from the book is each and every one of you matter. The way to rid the world of lying is to get rid of one liar. The way to foster the creative spirit is to let one creator have its chance. Every one of you might think you're up against it, or I can't make a difference, or my college doesn't have money, or we've made all these decisions, no one listens to me. But something I firmly believe is that sustainability is a leadership activity. It's contagious. I encourage you to be a leader and understand that each and every one of you can make a difference. Which leads me to conclude that there still must be a new song. 75 years later, we still need a new song. And I wonder in 2090 if they're going to ask the same question. My sense is if 75 years from now, if somebody pulls out a book and says, look, David Orr was saying the same thing we were saying, he was saying it 75 years ago, I think that we're going to be in a very, very different world where our children, our grandchildren are going to have much less opportunity and the quality of life that we've had. All that being said, chapter 5, my last chapter, I am indeed optimistic. I am indeed optimistic. If you know me, I really believe we can solve these problems. Our theme for the conference this year is knowledge, collaboration, and action. I have seen the solutions that you guys have brought forth on your campus. I've seen the joy that you have when you come together. And with the range of skills, I've seen the list of registrants. I know all the departments the faculty are from. We have people from every part of campus life. Every tool that we need to address the future is in this room. And campuses are microcosms of the greater world. On our campus, we have a bus system, we have a food system, we house people, we operate a utility, a water utility. I mean, we are a city. And every tool we need is in this room. But you have to get out and find it. The second part of our conference is collaboration. I've already said it. You are an amazing group. And I still remember these young ladies from UNC Asheville dancing on the lawn last year, in addition to having a very powerful message for all of us. And lastly, our calling is to lead and to educate. We don't make widgets. We educate the future leaders of this world. And it's something we've all chosen to do. A lot of people in higher education could do anything they want, but they have chosen to lead, and they have chosen to teach, and they have chosen to educate. So this is my call to action, because there's a great multiplier effect. When you lead by example, and I believe that every single person on a college campus is an educator. If you're at the cafeteria line, if you're cutting a tree, if you're a teacher standing before 50 students, every single person has an impact on those young people walking across the campus. So I urge you to understand the knowledge you possess. I urge you to collaborate, to be generous with your spirit, and to meet as many people as you can. And again, a call to action. If we don't have a new ethic and a new call to action, I'm afraid that 75 years from now, we're going to be picking up a David Orr book and saying, wow, they were worried even back then. So again, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Get in touch with your why. Get in touch with your passion. And I hope you have an absolutely great next 3 days. And it is our distinct pleasure and honor to have you here. And thank you so much for coming. It means a lot to see each and every one of you. Thank you.